Is the screen
This call
visible?
is now being recorded.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the last class, we have discussed about what in the last two classes we have introduced it to the computer. Then what is the input? What is the output? What are the input devices? What are the output devices? And what language computer can understand? So in general, whatever we use that number system, we call it as decimal. Okay, which is having the base as 2. From this, how we can convert this number, whatever the number we have in decimal, that is in base, to binary, which will be having the base as 2, right? Next, after getting the number or the input into binary, it will process like a squaring of the number or doubling of the number or some operations like 2 or 3 numbers it can take, and it can add like that, depending upon the problem or the uh, computation that we require. It will perform that entire thing in binary. Then whatever the output we will get, that will also be in binary. But in order to make it understandable to the human, it should be converted back to decimal. So we have seen how we can convert a decimal number into binary, then binary number back into decimal, isn't it? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yeah. So next, we have considered one of the problems like for a computer, we will be giving the number as the input. Okay, one number as the input. Then we have to get sum of the individual digits of the given number. So for for simplicity, we are not considering how it can be converted. We are assuming that somehow the given decimal number will be converted to binary. What's the procedure we have seen? But now we are not bothering about whether it is in binary, how it can be converted to binary, all those things, because we know the procedure. We are assuming that somehow it will convert it to binary. Now, if you take n as the input, how we can get some of the individual digits of the given number? This is the question which we have addressed in the last class. In that, what's the procedure? In general, we have to get digit by digit. How we can get the last digit, that is units plus digit? How we can get units plus digit? How we can get? By performing
What
if
is
a
the
number,
question, sir?
if n is given to you, okay, n can consist of several digits. Okay, 3 digits, let us say. We wanted to get this units place digit. How we can get this?
Dividing by 10.
Dividing by 10, then we
100.
have to get the remainder, isn't it?
Yes.
We have to get the remainder. To get the remainder, we are having an operator called mod operator that will be denoted as percentage. So n mod 10 means what we will be getting? What are the possible values? N mod 10 means
0. 1.
n mod 10. N can be anything, like n can be 19, n can be 41, like that.
Reminder, sir.
Remainder we will get. So whatever the number we give as the input, units place digit we will be getting, isn't it? 41 if I give, what will be the answer?
1.
1. 49 if I give?
9.
9. 149?
9.
9. So what are the possible values when we perform n mod 10? What are the possible values? Irrespective of this, you tell. Can we get 9? Yes, this is the example, 149. Can we get 8?
No, sir.
8. Irrespective of this n, you tell. Okay, don't consider n as 149. N can be any number.
0 to
Then
9,
can we get 8?
Okay.
Very good. 0 to 9.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So why? Because we are dividing with the 10. So when we will stop that division process, whenever the number is, whatever the number we have got, that is less than the, what you call, the number which we are dividing, then with which we are dividing, then we will stop the division process. We have seen in the last class with respect to 27. 27, suppose we wanted to divide with 5. We will be dividing like this. 5 times, then 25, then we will get 2. Why we are stopping here is whatever the 2 we have got, that is less than this 5. That's why we will stop. So whatever the number we will get here as the remainder, that will be definitely less than this. If it is greater than this, then we will be continuing the division process. That's what that is, just observation here is n mod 10 will give the value from 0 to 9. Similarly, the value is like the operation is like n mod 2. N mod 2. What's the value that we will be getting?
0.
What are the possible values? N mod 2.
0, sir.
Only 0
And 1.
1.
Yeah, 0 and 1. Similarly, n mod 5. Then what are the possible values?
0 to 4.
0 to 4. Like this, whatever the number we will be getting, whatever the result we will be getting, that will be less than this number. Okay, 0 to 1 minus this. That's it. So let us consider n mod k. What are the possible values? N mod k.
N mod k minus 1. K minus
No.
1. 0 to k minus 1.
0 to k minus 1. Right. So you please accustom and habituate to this kind of generalization every time. Whenever we see a simple problem, although it is well known to you, we try to accustom and habituate to generalize it by starting from the base case, like n mod 2. Easily you could able to say remainder can be 0 or 1. If it is 0, those are even numbers. If it is 1, odd number. That is absolutely known to you. But the fact that you have to understand here is, in case of 2, it is 0, 1. In case of 5, it is 0 to 4. In case of 10, it is 0 to 9. In case of k, what are the possible values? 0 to k minus 1. Such kind of generalization you should practice. Then logic you can build on your own. That is the root actually. That root thing you try to find out. Yeah. Next, yeah, any doubts, ma?
No, sir.
Okay. Now let us consider one more problem before going to see other things. There is a number, special type of number called Armstrong number. Special type of number called Armstrong number. What does it mean is, whatever the number given to you as the input, for that number we will be calculating sum of the cubes of individual digits. Okay, if a number is given to you, then we will be calculating sum of cubes of individual digits. Okay, sum of cubes of individual digits. Just in short, I am writing like this: sum of the cubes of individual digits. And if this particular sum is equal to the given number n, then we can say such kind of numbers as Armstrong numbers. I am repeating once again. If the number is given to you, we will calculate sum of the cubes of the individual digits. So individual digits we have to find, right? First of all, for a given number, we have to find individual digits. Then for each individual digit, we have to calculate cube. That we have to calculate for each and every digit, that those cube values. Then we have to sum up those all cubes. Okay. Whatever the final sum we will be getting, that sum should be equivalent to the given number. Then we can say that number as the Armstrong number. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now let us consider one simple example. 125. Is this Armstrong number or not? You check. How we can check 125? 125 is given to you. Then what is the procedure to adopt? First of all, we have to get the individual digits. Yeah. Yes, tell me. What we will do first?
We'll divide it by 2, sir.
We'll divide it by 2. Then what we have to get from this 125? What we should get first?
First, the output sum, sir.
No. First we have to get individual digits, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, individual digit in the sense we have to get 5, 2, 1. How we can get 5?
If we separate 12 and 5 separately, we can get 5, sir.
How we can separate?
By dividing by 10.
We have to
Divide
divide
by
it by 10.
Divide by
Yes,
10.
sir.
So n, if you consider n as 125, we have to divide by 10. Then we have to consider remainder, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, mod operation. We can say directly, instead of divide by 10, you say mod operation with 10. So we will be getting one digit. Okay, let us consider this as a digit d. Then next what we will do? From 125 we have got 5. Then d is 5. Then n value is 125. Yeah, please respond, ma'am. In the last class, we have spent almost 1 hour to discuss this. From we have got 5, but what is our requirement? 5 cube plus 2 cube plus 1 cube. This sum we have to calculate. So first of all, after getting the 5 cube we will calculate. Okay, how 5 cube can be calculated? It is like d cube, isn't it? D cube. So instead of writing d cube directly, we will be writing d times d and times d. So d times d and d times d into d. So it is d cube. This we will calculate. Let us say this as the sum. Okay, this is the sum as of now. Is it clear till this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Next, after getting 5, we have calculated 5 cube. Afterwards, we have to get 2. How we can get 2? For that, we have to make this 125 as we have to make this 125 as
12.
12. How we can make this 125 as 12?
Quotient by dividing by 20 and
Yeah.
10, and you'll get the quotient.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah, we have to divide it by 10. Then we will get a coefficient. That coefficient only we have to consider as the n. So n by 10 we have to assign to n. So it will become 12. After getting this, then with the new n, we have to perform. From this 12, we have to get 2. So how we can get?
Divide by 10.
Divide by 10. Mod operation with 10. So n mod 10. So this process only will be continued, right? So d is assigned with n mod 10. N value is 12. 12 mod 10, it will be 2. And again, we will calculate 2 cube. That we have to add to? That 2 cube value we have to add to?
D into D into D.
Earlier sum, isn't it? That 2 cube value we have to add to earlier 5 cube we have calculated, right? That we have assigned to sum. So for that sum we have to add this present d cube value. Is it clear? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how we can write that? As we have written in the previous example, sum of the individual digits. Digit we will get, then we have add. Instead of adding the digit, we are adding just the cube of it. So sum is equal to sum plus d cube. Like this we will find. Like I can take sum also as one variable. Initial value of sum should be initial value of sum should be
0.
0. In last class we have seen why it is 0. Yeah. So now 5 cube we have calculated that we are adding to sum. So 0 plus that 5 cube, it will be 125. Next, what is the next one? 2 we will be getting. So digit value becomes 2. So d cube is 8. 8 we have to add to 125. So it will become 133. Yeah. Next, n value we have to update as 1. That is n by 10. So next, d becomes, what's the d? N mod 10. So 1 mod 10. What we will get? 1 mod 10.
1.
1 itself. Whenever we have this one as less than this denominator, numerator is less than the denominator, numerator only we will be getting. Okay, so 1 mod 10, so we will be getting digit as 1, and a digit cube will be 1 cube, that is 1 only, that we have to add to previous sum. What is the previous sum? 133. So after adding we will be getting 134. Okay, now we have to compare whether original n value whatever we have taken, whether that is equivalent to this sum or not, we have to check. Okay, whether these two are equal or not, we have to check. If these two are equal, then we can say n as the Armstrong number. N as Armstrong number. If these two are not equal, then n is not Armstrong number. Is this clear, this procedure? Yes. Can you give an example for which this particular condition is satisfied? That means, can you give one Armstrong number, example Armstrong number?
144.
144. What is 4 square? It is 16. Again 4 square, 16. 1 square, it is 1. Total will not be 144, right? It is 33.
Okay.
Try.
153.
Very good. 153. So 3 square. 3 cube, sorry. 3 cube value is 27. 5 cube value is 125. 1 cube value is 1. We will be getting 153. Any other? Any other Armstrong numbers? Just you consider 1. Is this Armstrong number? 1. How many digits we have?
1 digit.
Only 1 digit. Cube of it is
1.
1. So is it equivalent to the given number?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So it is also an Armstrong. 0. 0 is also an Armstrong number. Yes. Yeah. Any other? Okay. You can find it out, but here you need to understand. You need not concentrate on what is the next Armstrong number, but how we can interpret the question. That is what the focus you need to have. If the number is given to you, then we have to segregate that into individual digits, and we have to calculate the cube. Then we have to add the sum of those. Then we have to compare these two. And one more thing, one important, very important point that you keep in mind here is n value we are having as 125 in this example which we have taken. N value we have changed it as 12. Afterwards, n value has become 1. Next, n value becomes 0. Then we will stop, isn't it? N value is 0. Then we will stop the process. Even if you continue, also some will not change. Okay, fine. Now.
Sir, also 370, sir.
370. 3 cube is what?
27.
7. 7 cube is 343. Okay. Then
0,
Zero.
sir.
okay. So 370. Yeah, very good.
Sir, 371 also, sir.
Yeah, 371 also, of course. As from these two we can conclude that. Yeah. Yeah. Now consider this n value. Yeah, n value becomes 0. Then we can stop this procedure. Is it clear at this point? Whenever n value becomes 0, we can stop this procedure and we can compare whether this sum is equivalent to the number or not. Is it clear? Yes. If n value
Yes,
becomes, yeah. Now, if you consider what is the n value when we are stopping this process, n value becomes 0, isn't it? Whenever we stop this procedure, n value is becoming 0. But what we are comparing, whether n is equivalent to this sum or not. But anyway, the sum will not be 0 in most of the cases, except sum is 0. Sum will be greater than 0. So n will not be equivalent to sum in any case. That's why because we are modifying every time n value itself. N value from 125 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 0, like this. Every time, whatever the n value you give, we will be getting n value as 0 at the end of this particular procedure. So whenever we compare, n becomes 0. N will be 0 at this comparison. So what we have to do here is, we have to preserve original n value before modification. What is the original n value in this context? In this example, what is the original n value? Did you get the problem? Shall I repeat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, n value, let us consider n value as we have seen 370, you consider. N value is 370. After this, we will be getting n value as 37. We will be changing n value as 3. After this, n value as 0. Then we will stop. Sum will be 370, definitely. Sum will be 370. But what is the n value? 0. But what are the two values that we have to compare? Original n value, okay, that is initial n value, and the sum. But n value we don't have right now with us. Why? Because we have changed n value only to 0. This is the problem. So how we can rectify this is, before modifying this n value to 37 or to 3 or to 0, we will be preserving this n value, then we can modify it. Okay, let us consider into one temporary variable, we will be preserving this n value. Then at the end, we are having that n value in a temporary variable. So these two we can compare, whether t is equivalent to t is equivalent to sum or not. We will be checking. Instead of checking whether n is equivalent to yes or not, we will be checking from this t. Why? Because n value we are modifying here. So before that we have preserved in a temporary variable. That temporary variable we can use for comparison. Did you get the point? Yes.
No,
Shall I
sir.
repeat?
Oh, can you repeat once, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, what's the answer for 370?
For 370, answer is
30, no, sir?
no. What should be the answer? What's the question? We have to check whether it is Armstrong number or not. For 370, what we have got, the sum of the cubes of the individual digits is 370 only, isn't it? 0 cube plus 7 cube is 343, 3 cube is 27. So altogether we will be getting 370. So it is equivalent to the original number. So it is an Armstrong number. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now you consider n value is 370 itself. Digit we will be getting 0. So sum will be, sum will be 0 plus 0 because initially it will be 0 sum, and digit cube is also 0, so it will be 0 only. Next, n value we will change from 370 to 37. Why? Because n value is being changed as n by 10. So 37. From this again we have to get the units place digit, that is 7. So how we can get 7? By performing mod operation with 10. So then we will get 7. 7 cube we will calculate and we will add it to the sum. So 7 cube is what? 7 cube is 343. Yeah. So the sum will become 343. N value we will change from 37 to 3. Next, digit we will be getting as 3 now. Why? Because 3 mod 10, the 3 is less than 10, so 3 only we will get as the output. So 3 mod 10. So 3 cube. What is 3 cube? That 27. We have to add to sum. So 27, if we add to the sum will become 370. Okay. Yes, next, this n value we will change it to 0. N by 10. N by 10 means 0. 3 by 10, 0. Whenever n becomes 0, then we will stop this process. Then this is the sum. Like that we can come out of this repetition. Okay. Now we have to check whether the sum is equal to the given number or not. Okay. In general, we will be checking like this. We will use in most of the programming languages we use double equals to for comparison. Whenever we say equal to, that means suppose a equal to b. What does it mean? B value will be assigned to a. Okay, it is a little different from mathematical notation. In general, a equal to b means a value and b value are same like that. But in programming perspective, b will be assigned to a. Or to remember this one, I will say a equal to 10. What does it mean? 10 value. Okay, 10 will be assigned to a. That's what the meaning. Now, to compare whether a is 10 or not, what we have to do? We have to put one more equal to sign so that 10 will not be assigned to a. It will be checked whether a value is 10 and this value is also 10 or not. We will be checking. Understand? A equal to b, a double equals to b in the sense whether a is equal to b or not. That we will be checking. Similarly, the sum should be equal to n or not. Okay, whether the sum is equal to n or not, we have to check. If it is equal, we can print the conclusion that it is Armstrong number. If it is not, equal to, we will denote like this. Then we will denote it is not Armstrong number. The given number is not Armstrong number. Is it okay? Did you understand this particular one so far? Yes. Yes. Any doubt, ma? Did you understand so far? Any doubts? If you have any doubt, at what point you are having doubt, please do. If you have doubt, please tell me. If it is clear, that also please tell.
Clear, sir.
Yeah. Now I will tell you the problem. A problem in the sense it will not work in one context. In the sense, see, n value is 370 as we have taken. When we are stopping this procedure, this repetition, we are stopping. Whenever n becomes 0, we are stopping. Okay. At that particular time, whatever the sum we are having, that is yes, we are checking with n. What is the n value? What is the n value in this example?
370, sir.
370 is n value, but that we have changed to 0, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So it is not a valid comparison, right? our intention is this sum we have to compare with original n value, but not updated n value. That is what our intention. That's where this particular logic will fail. Okay. So how, if you understand this problem, then only you can understand the solution. Yeah. Problem is whenever n value we wanted to compare with the sum, that n value is being changed as 0. Why? Because we have changed during the process. So our intention is to compare the sum with the original n value. In order to do that, what we are doing is, before modifying n value to n by 10, n value to n by 10, like that, we will be preserving n value in the temporary variable. Okay. So what's the value of temporary variable? That is t. What is the value? N only we are assigning. So whatever the n value we have, that only we will be having as t. So t will be 370. Now we will update n value as n by 10. It will become 37. Then n value as n by 10. Then it will become 3. Then it will become 0. Now at the end, sum is 370. This we have to compare with what? This 370 we have to compare with
Sum, sir.
This sum we have to compare with t. Okay, we can compare with t. That's why instead of comparing with n, we will compare with t. Here also we will compare with t. Then it is correct. That is the only point you have to understand. Yes, I hope it is clear to you.
Yes, sir.
Yes? Yeah. So now this is the procedure. This particular procedure, whatever the procedure we have seen step by step, like I will clear this. Otherwise I will. Yeah. First we will be taking n value as input. So input is n. This is known to us. Next, what's the output? Whether it is, what's the output? Whether it is
Sum, sir.
No. It's not
Zero.
sum. Whether it is Armstrong number or not. That is the output.
Okay.
Next, what is the first procedure? We have to read n value. After reading the n value, we have to get individual digit. That is next step. Okay. After getting the individual digits, we have to add that cube of that digit to the sum. Next, we will modify n to n by 10. Okay. These 3 steps we will be repeating. Before performing these 3 steps, we will be preserving n value in t. Okay. After completing these 3 steps repetition, we will be checking whether this t is equal to sum or not. Then after this, based upon this, we can get the output. Whether if these 2 are equal, Armstrong. Otherwise, it is not Armstrong number. Okay. So here altogether, this is the first step that we are performing. That is reading n value. Okay. We have to take the input as n. Next, we have to preserve n in temporary variable. And we have to get the remainder, that is digit cube we have to get, and we have to add to the sum. Then n value will modify as n by 10. This process we will repeat until n becomes 0. Until n becomes 0, we will be repeating. Then whenever n becomes 0, then we will check whether this sum is equivalent to the temporary variable. That is nothing but whatever the original n value we have preserved in t, that we will compare with sum. Then we can conclude whether it is Armstrong or not Armstrong. Okay, this is the procedure. Step by step, if you write the procedure, that particular one we call it as algorithm. This particular process we call it as, that is in order to solve one problem, step by step, if you write the procedure, that we call it as algorithm. Is it clear? Algorithm is nothing but step-by-step procedure. First step is this, second step is this. Like this step-by-step procedure we will be writing in order to solve a problem. Or in other words, in more clear way, I can say, in order to convert, input into output, we will be having a procedure. Okay. In order to convert input into output, we will be having a procedure. That procedure we call it as algorithm. In more formally, we can say step-by-step procedure to convert input into outputs is called algorithm. Is it clear, the definition?
Yes, sir.
Next, this particular algorithm can be defined in several ways. Several ways in the sense, in normal English, we could able to write an algorithm like preserve n value in temporary variable. Like that, we can write it in English. Next, get the individual digit. Instead of writing n is equal to n mod 10, we can write what? Get the individual digit and calculate cube of it. Then add this cube of the digit to the sum, previous sum, and modify n value as n by 10. Like that, we can write it in normal English, okay, without using any much mathematical notations. We could able to write. That is one way. By using normal English, we could able to write this procedure. Yes or no? Instead of using these all mathematical notations. Can we able to write or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So that is one of the ways to represent algorithm. In other words, we can include with respect to one programming language. Like we will not transform entirely into a program. What we will do is we will try to use some notations like which we have used here. Independent of the programming language, we could able to write like n get the remainder of after performing division between n and 10. Like that, we can write or n mod 10. Instead of using this operator which is specific to the programming language, we can use n mod 10. Okay, like this in words also we can write n mod 10. So it is nearer to the programming language. Such kind of representation we call it as pseudocode. Pseudocode spelling is like this: pseudo. Pseudocode. So what is this pseudocode? Pseudocode is one of the representations that we will use to write algorithm. Pseudocode is nearer to programming language. Okay, nearer to programming language. One way of writing algorithms is by using normal English. In normal English, we could able to write without using any mathematical terms. Okay, mathematical notations. Second one is we can use pseudocode. Pseudocode in the sense combination of some English and some English words we will be using like calculate or determine, such kind of things we are compare, such kind of English words. There are no specific words to use. You can use any English words, but combination of English words and mathematical notations which are nearer to the programming language, any programming language, that we call it as pseudocode. It is not code, but it seems to be like code. Okay, it is not exact program code, but it seems to be like program code. That's why it is called as pseudocode. Pseudo word, if you get anywhere, the meaning is same. Understand? So this is a second type of representation of algorithm. Next, another thing is there that is very important one, that is called flowchart. Flowchart in a sense pictorial representation of algorithm, that is called flowchart. This is well known across all the programming languages. We will be preserving flowchart. Flowchart in the sense it is pictorial representation. Diagrammatically, we will be representing this this particular steps. These all steps we will be representing in the form of diagram. Then we will come to know after this is the step. After this is the step. Like this entire steps flow we could able to get from this chart. That's why it is called as flowchart. This is pictorial representation of the algorithm. Is it clear? All these three. English is general English. Pseudocode means combination of English and some mathematical notations. Next, flowchart means exclusively what? Exclusively diagrammatic representation of these all steps. That is called flowchart. Clear? Yes, any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Now we will see with respect to this flowchart. What are the symbols that we have in flowchart and some of the examples quickly. Now we can go with a little faster because you are accustomed to the topic that which we are discussing. Yeah. So now in this we will be seeing flowchart. Flowchart represents what's the logic that we have in algorithm. So here it is one of the examples. Basically, we will be making use of start and end. Okay, the procedure is starting here, ending here. These two we will be representing by using rounded rectangle. Don't read in between. Whatever I will show through pointer, those only you please try to follow. Because anyway, I will be covering all the things at the end of the lecture. Yeah. See here, start, end we are having. These two are of same symbols, rounded rectangles. Isn't it? Rounded rectangles. These two, start and end, we will use to denote. Start and end we will use in terms of rounded rectangle. Yeah. Next, input or output. Okay, either we wanted to give input, that is, we wanted to take input or give output. In both the cases, we will use parallelogram. Okay, so while performing one particular task, like we have to calculate what is the gross salary of an employee. Gross salary in the sense how many number of hours he has worked and per hour how much he has to pay. If you get these two values, try to understand. If you get how many hours he has worked and per hour how much we have to pay, then we could able to multiply these two and get the gross salary. This is what simple logic. Now, how many hours he has worked, we have to get the input. For that, we will display a message to the what you call user that, like in railway stations, you might be seeing one auto teller machines, ATM kind of thing. Auto teller machines where you could able to access what is the running status of the train, what is the PNR status, all these things you can enter on your own and can know. Do you have idea about it? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Some ATM kind of machine will be there, man. There you can go and enter your train number so that you will come to know what are the stops and where is the train.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Similar to that, you have to enter train number. You should be knowing some message like enter train number. That message you have to display, right? User has to get that message. Then only user could able to enter train number. Otherwise, how we will come to know train number? Only we have to enter our. Now we can enter train name also. Like that, user will be thinking. So what we have to enter, user has to enter, that we have to display. So displaying is nothing but output, isn't it? So
Yes,
after our discussion, input or output we have to represent by using which symbol? Input or output?
mod.
Parallelogram. Input or output, anything we have to represent by using parallelogram. Flowchart will contain some symbols. Here you consider this is rounded rectangle, this is parallelogram, this is parallelogram, this is rectangle, again this is parallelogram, this is rounded rectangle. Like this, some symbols we have. Out of these rounded rectangles we will use to indicate start and end. Next, parallelogram we will use to denote input, at the same time output as well. So we have to display enter train number, that is output, right? Displaying something means output. So for output, which symbol we have to use?
Parallelogram.
Parallelogram. So that's why we have used here parallelogram. And what's the message that we have to display is how many hours did you work? That is the message. Now we have to read he will be entering, right? We have to read. So read hours. This is input. This is output actually. We wanted to send this as the output. Then this is the input from the user. Number of hours he will be giving. Next, after that we have to get one more thing, that how much you have to pay. Okay, you will be getting per hour. Okay, per hour how many rupees you will be getting, that we will get. So it is again a message to display. A message to display in the sense it is output. So we have to use parallelogram again. Next, we have to read input, that is per hour what is the pay he will be getting. So this is again input. So this is output, this is input, this is output, this is input. Clear? So for all these four, we will be using parallelogram only. After getting these two values, that is number of hours and per hour how much pay, if you multiply these two, we'll be getting gross salary. Okay, so multiplication in the sense processing. Whenever we wanted to process something, that is calculate some computation we are performing, means then we will be using rectangle. Whatever the computation we wanted to perform, for that we will use rectangle. Next, after calculation we have to display it. Display means again it is output. So we will be using parallelogram. Okay, now starting from this, you go through once. Start, display this message, get the hours, display this message, get the pay per hour. Next, multiply those two, then we will get gross pay, that you display, then end. This is the flow chart, one after the another. What are the steps that we have to solve the given problem? That is nothing but flow chart. This is the example. I hope you have got the point. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now we quickly we will go through whatever we have seen. Rounded rectangle, parallelogram for input and output. Next, this is rectangle for what?
Calculations.
Yeah, calculations or computations. Next, same here mentioned, start, end. I will share this PPT. Do not worry. Next, input output operations are these. Next, this is process, actual processing or computation we will be performing here by using rectangle. Okay, here same thing you can observe on the computer screen. Let us assume this is the algorithm. When we run this, we will be getting this message, right? How many hours did you work? Just you see this and this. On this particular parallelogram, we will be getting like this. So 40 has been entered by user. So 40 user has entered. Next, how many rupees you will be paid per hour? This will be resulted from this. Next, he will be giving the hours as rupees as 20. Then it will calculate the gross salary. Okay, at that time nothing will be displayed. Try to understand, nothing will be displayed. Next, display salary. Your gross salary is 800 by multiplying 40 and 20. Okay, this is the overall idea of flowchart. Next, some flowchart structures are there. In this, basically sequence is nothing but the name itself, the term itself indicating that one after the another. We will start from step 1, then step 2, step 3, step 4, like this, so on n steps if we have, up to step n, then we will end. That's it. That is called sequence. That's it. Second one is a decision in the sense, suppose a number is given to you, you have to calculate, you have to say whether it is odd number or even number. If it is odd number, then you have to display the output as given number is odd. If it is even number, you have to display the message as output as even number. So you should not display odd number and even number at the same time. Yes or no? For the given number, if the number is 15, then you should not display odd number. 15 is odd number, 15 is even number. You should not display both the numbers. So it is not sequence type of a flow chart. It should be decision. You have to decide which statements to be executed. Got it? Such kind of statements we call it as decision statements. Okay, I will show you the examples of each and every one. Need not worry, just you get the motivation or intuition behind this. Yeah, decision, I hope you understand. Which statements to be executed on which case. That is nothing but a decision. Next, repetition. Some statements we need to repeat until one particular condition is satisfied. Like which we have seen in previous two examples, like sum of the individual digits or Armstrong number or not. Some sequence of steps, 3 steps, n equal to remainder equal to n mod 10, sum is equal to sum plus remainder. Next, n is equal to n by 10, like that. Those 3 steps we have repeated in the first example, right? So that repetition is nothing but this third type of flowchart structure. Next, case. Based upon the condition we may need to execute, like there can not only 2 decisions, okay, like either odd or even, we can have multiple cases, then that is case, 4th type of flowchart structure. Okay, are these 4 clear? Yes, I will show you the examples now. Yeah, see, sequences one after the another will be having. In between we can have parallelograms like for input or output, and some rectangles we can have for processing or computation. This is sequence. Next, decision means we will be having a diamond to indicate the condition. What is the condition to check whether it is odd or even? What is the condition we should mention here? Suppose n is given as input. What should be the condition here?
Divisible by 2, sir.
Yeah, divisible by 2. That means n mod 2. If n mod 2 equal to 1, n mod 2 equal to 1, then what should be printed here?
Odd number.
It is odd number. No means, that is if it is false, then
0, even number.
So anyway, we have to end the process after displaying either this message or this message. We have to end it. So we will be having here start, then read n value, then n mod 2 we will be comparing with 1. If it is true, that means yes. If the answer is yes, then we will execute this. That is, we will process this. Otherwise, we will process this. Like this. This is the decision kind of structure. Next, third type is what? Of course, this is one example. You can understand this. We have next, repetition, in the sense we will be having a condition, right? In our example, sum of the individual digits, what was the condition to be satisfied? To repeat same structure, same set of statements. What is the condition?
Repeating 1 again and again.
No. Sum of the individual digits. What was it? For that example, what is the condition that we have checked? When we are stopping the process?
0. When we get 0.
When we get n value as 0. So if n is greater than 0, then if it is yes, then we will execute this those 3 statements. Sum is equal to remainder we will calculate, sum we will update, then n value will update. Like that, those 3 statements we will be keeping here. Then again we will come back to here, and n value we will check. If n is greater than 0, we will execute this. If n is 0, then we will conclude here. Like that, repetition structure we will be denoting like this. Diamond is to denote what? Diamond is to denote condition. That you keep in mind. Yeah.
Yes,
Next, 4th type is what? 4th type is case. So there can be multiple cases. Like these all are similar things. Yeah. Case, in the sense, one condition we will be having. Based upon that condition, we will be having several cases. Like you consider one simple example. I will show you. Based upon the number of years an employee has worked in one organization, he has to get some bonus. Let us say, or you consider simple example. LIC agent, you know, right? LIC agent, he will be getting bonus based upon the number of policies. If he got less than 10 or minimum 10, we need to get, LIC agent should get at least 10 policies. If he got 10 to 20 policies, he will be getting 10,000 bonus. If he gets 21 to 30, he will get 20,000 bonus. 21 to 30 policies means he will get 30,000 bonus. Like that, more than 30 policies means he will be getting, more than 40 policies means he will be getting 50,000 bonus. Like that, depending upon the condition, we will be having several cases. So that will be represented like this. Clear? This
Yes,
case?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, just one example you can see. Yeah, bonus you can say. Yeah, number of years employed. If it is 1, bonus is 100. 2 means 200. 3 means 400. Others 800. Like this, depending upon the outcome of this, we can have for the decision. We can have several outcomes. Earlier, we have seen the condition like n greater than 0. Either yes or no. Only 2 statements. That is the decision structure. But if you have several cases, then that is case structure. Okay, these names are not that much important, but this kind of possibility is there to represent that only you should understand. Clear? Yes, ma?
Clear, sir.
Yeah. So in the next class we will be seeing several examples related to these flowcharts, and we will continue. Okay, thank you, ma. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, you can enter your roll number and can leave. Thank you.